Hallo, assalamu alaikum, good morning, khushandi ji, ayanu, goeiemorgen, bagheeragle, washmale, junishumne.
Ohio Gonzalez, Guten Morgen, Hola, Bonjour, Privyet, Kaivahal, Hale Shumachatore, Ahl Wasal, Marhaba, Buna, Mucho, Gracias, Swabikov, and a very amazing good morning to everybody who's tuned into PTV World and are watching World this morning alongside the very fantastic, the very amazing, a little naughty early in the morning, ladies and gentlemen, Shiza Hashmi and Shahzad Khan. Hello Shiza, how are you doing today?
I'm doing absolutely great. Thank you so much for asking. What about you?
Well, I think I'm doing absolutely perfect today as well. But speaking of that, ladies and gentlemen, there's always been time in your life when you do not really feel that you are at your 100%.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that everybody pretty much can actually have that feeling or that sensation as well. And I think that that kind of a day for me was yesterday. And it was a very silly mistake which somebody else made early in the morning, and I just couldn't get over it for the rest of the day. And it was merely because of the fact that that mistake actually had an impact on the kind of work we do over here on television as well. So yeah, so from there onwards it started. And ladies and gentlemen, to be honest, there are so many things which you love, and there's so many things which you want to do with passion, with a lot of efficacy, with a lot of efficiency as well. And when somebody's mistake actually has an impact on your efficiency, I think that you won't feel very nice. And this
That's
show of
true.
ours, well, this morning, ladies and gentlemen, is very close to our hearts. We put in our blood, we put in our sweat, we make sure that we give you the best of what we have as well in terms of knowledge, in terms of information. But God forbid, if there's something which goes wrong, I have a very bad day. If the show does not go fine, I do not feel very fine throughout the day. How about you?
I do sort of agree with you as well because, of course, the way we feel about this show as well. Like you said, it's our child. But here's the thing, Shazad, generally, if people know you or like the way I know you, you happen to be, mashallah, mashallah, a very happy and a
Thank you.
happening person, right? There's another type, which of course there are so many sad days and sad ways for them as well. This is my assumption, you are the opposite of that. But when, like yesterday, a bad day does hit upon you, how do you like come out of it?
All right, so it was after a long time,
Yeah,
ladies
that's
and
what I
gentlemen,
meant.
that I actually felt like that. And there was a contributing factor to it as well. And speaking about the contributing factor, it was obviously us being in quarantine. So I come, I do the show, and I just go back home, and that's it. So it's been a month, over a month, that I've actually been at home as well. I'm making sure that I work out every day. And then there were other reasons to it as well, which made sure that I'm not going to feel well.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, while I was praying, so Alhamdulillah, quarantine has given me the best gift in life, and that is that I'm offering my prayers 5 times a day. And I think that this is something which I wanted to achieve in a longer period of time, but I wasn't able to.
That's
So
nice.
as I was, praying, and I was just, I always have my conversations with Allah as well. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, Allah, Mia, this is what happened, and it shouldn't have happened, and this and that. So all of a sudden, there was this thought which came to my head that you're still so healthy, and that you've got healthy kids as well, and that your
Mashallah.
parents are healthy, and your brothers and sisters are around you. So if something like this has happened, you should actually have the tendency to be patient and ignore it, but do not lose the lesson out of it, whatever you got out of it. So ladies and gentlemen, from now onwards, what I've done is that I've made sure that I'm going to take my own notes as well, so that there's nobody else whose mistake will actually have an impact on me. So you
That's
learn from the
brilliant.
mistake, so that something like that never happens again. Because what's the point of saying sorry if you're going to do the same thing again?
No, that's actually absolutely brilliant. And I love the 2 points that you've raised. First of all, be patient about it. Whatever is thrown at you, throughout this lifetime, no matter what segment you belong to, no matter where you're coming from, where you belong to, things are going to happen to you, good and bad ones, of course. But patience is the key over here. And like Shazad said, take a lesson out of it, of course. Everything happens for a reason, ladies and gentlemen. Shazad, often you yourself even will find yourself, pondering upon why this happened to me, or hey, I did something good to someone. Why did this happen to me? It's because everything happens for a reason. And if you cannot find the reason is you needed to be, taught a lesson. Lesson is the reason.
Yeah,
ladies
and I've
gentlemen.
got a wonderful quote to share over here, ladies and gentlemen, and it's by Hazrat Imam Ali as well. And he said that, if you do something nice for somebody and they do not respond you in the same way, you should actually by then realize that your neki has been accepted by Allah Almighty as well. So yeah, I think that this is
That's
one thing we
nice.
really need to know as well.
I
But
love
other
how
than-
early in the morning we're all motivational speakers
yeah,
and everything.
but ladies and gentlemen, I think that one of the most beautiful things over here on this planet for me is books, and there's a reason why I'm speaking about it, ladies and gentlemen, and that is that every now and then whenever you travel. Since I was traveling while I was very young, so what I've realized and what I've observed so far is that wherever I might go, may it be a train station or an airport, not in Pakistan, elsewhere, people don't sit idle. Either there'll be somebody listening to music, either there'll be somebody on their Kindles, either there'll be somebody reading a book.
Yeah.
So nobody wastes a single minute. The people are so progressive in nature that they want to learn, they want to read. And ladies and gentlemen, talking about books, I think that books are your best friends. And back in the days, if I talk about my early childhood in 1990s, I still knew that my father was a very habitual reader as well, and he used to have friends where he used to send books to Karachi for his friend to read, and his friend is actually going to send him a book as well, and then we'll discuss upon that. And I think that books would actually give you that kind of patience which is actually required, because you cannot jump onto page 100 if you haven't actually read the 99 pages before as well. So that patience is very important in life, and I think that this is something which I have learned from books.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, which is the one that you're lately reading?
Lately, the last book I read was The Art of Thinking Clearly, and it was a fabulous book. And from the last 3 months, I haven't read a book, and I've been telling people about the same book as well. But ladies and gentlemen, not just that, the 23rd of April, ladies and gentlemen, is a very important day as well.
Right, yes. Absolutely. It happens to be the World Book Day, internationally recognized and, sort of celebrated as well in so many different countries too. Yeah. UNESCO actually officiated it in 1995, and ever since then, 23rd April is being celebrated as the World Book Day for many reasons, and one of them being the world's one of the most famous writers, William Shakespeare's birthday, and also the death anniversary falls in the same day too. So this is one of the reasons why we picked this date. And well, being a Pakistani, and Shahzad, I'd love to actually state one thing over here. So Multan, right next to Bahaduddin Zakriya's mausoleum, there's a National Library. It's closed, yes, it's not working, but it's just so stunning. I mean, you just look at it and you can reek the heritage of the country, the culture and everything. It's just brilliant. My heart breaks to state that it's now closed, but I love the fact that there are actually, proper national libraries over here in Pakistan, working or not. We will definitely come to that as well. But this is what we are going to talk about today, if I didn't already give that away.
Exactly, and that's great. And ladies and gentlemen, very quickly before we introduce our very amazing guest over here in the studios, there's this one more thing which I wanted to bring attention to, and that is that world over, I've been to different libraries as well, and I've seen that when you go to a library, you will see that libraries which are still up to date is because of the fact that their librarians had this progression of making sure that their library is actually going to stand within the digital arena and within the book arena as well. And at the same time, I think that over here in Pakistan, we might not be very well aware, but we actually need to inculcate this culture of going to the libraries.
Oh, yeah,
and I think
absolutely.
that it's a great culture. People get to meet, and that's where they PR rather than going to Sambat Club and meeting over a swimming lap. I don't think that that's the best idea, but going to a library is a good idea as well. Well, very quickly, ladies and gentlemen, on this day, we have actually been joined by somebody who's the country director of World Book International, USA. He's none other than Mr. Muhammad Amin. Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum. How are you? Good morning.
Walaikum assalam. Very good morning to you. How are you today?
Absolutely perfect.
Great.
Thank you very much for joining us. Wonderful to have you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Alongside Muhammad Amin, ladies and gentlemen, we've actually been joined by somebody who himself is an author, a librarian. He's none other than Mr. Abid Hussain. Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Walaikum assalam. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for joining us. And not just that, ladies and gentlemen, he was the librarian of my university's library as well.
Nice.
And I don't know why, but librarians do not come across as very nice people. I'm sorry to say that. But
I'll tell you why, because they're always telling you to shh.
Yeah. I think that might be the reason. But sir, let's get the conversation started. It's World Book Day. It's a very important day for people like you and us, and for everybody who's out there who might not even know the importance of books. How would you highlight the importance of this day and books itself?
Thank you, Mr. Shahzad, for this question. Actually, today, 23rd April, is World Book Day or International Day of the Book. Basically, it started in 1923.
Yes.
Very famous author, a Spanish writer of that time, Miguel de Cervantes. Catalonian people, what they did, they wanted to pay tribute to their great author, writer.
Right.
So they connected this day with the books in 1923. Sure. Originally, it was on the birthday of Miguel de Cervantes, that was 7th October.
Oh, okay.
Then it changed to 23rd October, 23rd April, which is his death day. And this is the death and birthday, like you mentioned in the intro, you know, of
Shakespeare.
William Shakespeare, William Wordsworth.
Yeah, Wordsworth is well true.
Okay, that is also Inca Garcilaso
Yeah.
de la Vega, you know, and Roger Bridges.
Okay, okay.
So these are the, you know, I mean, so there's their death or birth or death anniversary. In 1995, UNESCO designated, you know, officially declared World Book 23rd April as World Book Day. And they do it, you know, by selecting one World Book capital every year. This year, the capital, World Book capital is Kuala Lumpur. I don't know whether they are able to celebrate or not because of the COVID.
Yeah, I doubt so.
You know, I really don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. But the theme of this year World Book Day is share million stories.
Oh, that's nice.
That's the theme. Now, it is to celebrate authors, writers, readers, illustrators, and books, and importance of reading.
Right. So important.
So, different activities are held, you know, in World Capital, which is supported by the book industry, which is supported by the philanthropist.
Okay.
Like in UK, you know, they collect, you know, coins of, you know, £1, okay, and then they distribute among the students,
Yep.
okay, among, you know, the unprivileged who can't afford. So they can, you know, use those coupons anywhere in the UK and any bookshop to get a book.
Yep.
That's very nice.
So that's to promote the habit of reading. Now, from this forum, you know, I would like to, from your show, you know, because it is widely watched,
Alhamdulillah.
I would like to request, you know, our government, Ministry of Education, they should involve themselves. They should involve, you know,
Right.
and create a habit of reading and develop a habit of reading in children by giving them book. There are a lot of, you know, I mean, say philanthropists.
Okay.
Okay, a lot of people, you know, they would love to do it.
Yeah.
They will donate books, so we can give it to unprivileged children who can read books, because you can get knowledge only through books.
That's true.
Exactly.
Absolutely, that's true.
You see, because there is a survey, they said that the children who are good readers, they are not only good readers, but they develop a better sense of understanding things, understanding other cultures, understanding other countries, understanding other people. So this is very important, you know, that we should develop the habit of reading in our children,
That is
which is unfortunately, you know, lacking in our country.
And sir, towards the end of this segment, we'll definitely talk about that, how to inculcate that habit. But let us just move on to Abid Hussain Sahab over
Yeah.
here very quickly. Since you're an author yourself and you're a librarian, you're one of those people who are very close to books. And probably you can even tell by the scent of the book who the author is. But then at the same time, I think it is very important for all of us to know, because ladies and gentlemen, it came to me as a shock. Ever since we've been to school, universities, and then higher education, whatsoever, nobody ever told us what a book is. So I think that I'm going to pose this question to Mr. Abid Hussain Sahab over here.
Yes.
And let us know what a book is.
Okay. Before further proceeding about Word Book and Copyright Date, I would like to define the book. The book is acronym of 4 words, B-O-O-K.
Yeah.
So it means built in orderly, organized knowledge.
Built in orderly, organized
Organized
knowledge.
knowledge.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Didn't know
And
that.
the other acronym of book is based off our knowledge.
Wow.
And the third of big ocean of knowledge.
Wow.
So book is very important. If we recite Quran, in the very first ruku of Quran, Alif Lam Mim Zalikal Kitab,
Padho.
that's the book.
Yes.
So book is very important, and as sir mentioned that reading habits can only be inculcated in children's through various means. And various means included librarians can.
Sir, we will talk about that, how to inculcate that habit towards the end, you know, because that's the point where we want to give information to other people as well. But just talking about books,
Book.
how as a librarian you've thought that, you know, that this was the best thing that you've ever done in life?
As I mentioned that books are big ocean of knowledge.
Yes.
So if a person can read books, will get an opportunity in the world. So they can fly anywhere.
Yep.
a good reader is a good leader.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You might heard about Neil Gaiman mentioned that today's a reader, tomorrow a leader.
Readers are leaders.
Readers
Yes.
are leaders. So those who reads good books can highly improve their lives,
Yeah.
as well as they can get the peak by promoting their personality.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So books are sources of personality building.
That is absolutely true as
Yes,
well.
sir.
You know, to be honest, I have to confess over here, I have been talking about this as well earlier on the show too. I'm not a reader. I am embarrassed by this fact as well. I would like to change that, but I pledge that inshallah, my kids are going to be very good readers as well, because, you know, I missed that part. I missed out on that part where I would be a bookworm and, you know, sitting inside my blanket as well reading. I didn't do that, but I hope my kids do. Here's the thing. Amin Sab over here early in the morning, why are you laughing, brought us books as a gift for today, because today happens to be the International Book Day. Mine is actually brilliant. It's written by a child psychiatrist. This is why I'm really interested to read it. It's about, well, arguments and understanding each other and family conflicts and their resolution as well. Very interesting. But Amin Sab, I have a different question for you. I'm not going to cater to you when you're laughing right now.
Well, let me mention about the book which I got, ladies
Oh,
and
yeah.
gentlemen. So the book I got, I don't know what Amin Sahab was thinking, that he actually gave Shizad the book, which said the title was Stop Arguing and Start
It's very
Understanding.
interesting.
And he gave me How to Win Friends and Influence People. And I love it. Thank you very much, Amin Sahab. And I
Thank
think
you
that
so
this is the
much.
best gift anybody can give anybody else.
Right. So now, you know, I feel like you've been here exactly about books a lot of times as well. And we always talk about how things might go obsolete in terms of, you know, library and paperbacks as well. But when we were little, we used to read stories in our course books about, you know, Safarnama or, well, travelogues and stuff like that. But now no one actually sits down to write a book about their travel stories as well. There are Instagram blogs, or there are general blogs and whatnot, pictorial representations of them. Are they going out when we talk specifically about travelogues as well? Because they were so interesting and so insightful as well.
True.
So please go on and let us know if you think that technology might be changing the way books used to be.
For example, Kindle.
For example, you know, I mean, say Kindle is there. Okay, instead of, you know, I mean, say hard copy, they have, you know, electronic copy.
Right.
But the books will be there, you know, I mean, say books are not going to be finished. And there will be writers, the writers still, you know, I mean, say we were writers, you know, I mean, say 400 years ago, we have the writers today also. And they are really good writers, you know, I mean, say they are writing for, because if you look at, you know, some of the books, like Charles Dickens, for
Yes.
example, you know, his book Tale of Two Cities.
It's the most sold
yeah,
book.
That is one of the best book written in the history.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the English history. You know,
Of
I mean, so
course.
that book, you see, 150 years, the book is still famous.
200 million copies sold. so
200
far.
million
Yes.
copies have been sold, you know,
Yeah.
of that book. Okay, and similarly, you know, I mean, say Mark Twain, you know, he has written to Tom Sawyer. Okay, that is again, you know, I mean, say 1500 million copy have been sold.
Wow.
Okay, so there are, you know, I mean, say the books will remain there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
People when think, you know, I mean, say a lot of people they are saying there is internet, because I'm in book business.
Yeah.
And I face this question every day. People they say, you know, now this is internet age. Okay. But how you are going to read, you know, I mean, say from internet, if you spend, you know, I mean, say 5-10 minutes with internet, you feel bored.
I do.
Okay. But when you open a book, for example, this is a book. Now, looking at this book and reading from the internet, two different things.
Yeah.
You feel, you know, I mean, say you really feel.
This
You
is
feel at
certain
one
essence.
place. You feel at one
At
place.
one
On
place,
internet,
okay.
you just keep on clicking other links as well.
And whenever we open a book, George Bernard Shaw says, you know,
Yeah.
in very beautiful quote, he said, whenever I open a book, I come to know how less my knowledge is.
Oh, yeah. Actually, that makes sense.
And he was asked, you know, sir, still you're reading a book when you are at the age of 60. Okay, and what was, he gave a beautiful reply. His answer was, I'm just like a child who is collecting pebbles on the seashore when the ocean of knowledge is far away.
Oh, that's
And it's
beautiful.
beautifully
That's
said, but
brilliant.
which is why I said there's this question which is very relevant to what you just said, that, you know, it obviously increases knowledge every time you read a book. I don't know whether I should disagree or not, because I think that you've been one of those people who've been surrounded by books your entire life as well. But one simple question to clarify my mindset and a lot of people who might think the same way, and that is, whenever we read a book, you know, obviously it comes from a very different time, from a very different geographical location, and from a very different mindset of the author, himself or herself. How do you think that whatever is written in the book is relevant authentic, and will help us in our life?
That depends on our circumstances.
Okay, which are different from
Yeah,
the authors.
You know, how do I, adopt that one? The author is just giving you an idea. It's not, that you implement, 100% what has been written.
Okay.
You can change a bit
Yeah.
according to your circumstances, but the idea you get,
Yeah,
that is the important thing, that what you get from the book.
and how you can comprehend it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is very important.
I think that's beautiful. Same question from Abid Saab as well.
You know that people are watching movie for different reasons.
Yes.
Sometimes they are making it parallel with their life story.
Exactly.
Yeah, they
So
relate
the
to
books
it.
are the same because books are producing knowledge.
Yep.
And reader can enjoy if the life of authors and the readers are similar, so they can adopt it. Otherwise, they ignore it.
Otherwise, they cannot adopt
Yes,
it.
of course.
Otherwise, they ignore
Yeah,
it.
of course.
Yeah, please
Right,
go
okay.
ahead.
That does make sense as well. But Amin Saab, I think this is one of my very favorite questions. I love to ask people this as well. One book, or probably one part of a book that stayed with you throughout your life, you read that at whatever moment of your life, probably when you needed it, and it made a huge difference in your life. And both the question is same for both of you, so you may take your time to think, and while you may
And you
answer.
remembered it in that situation that, okay, the book said this, so I might probably try and apply it on my life.
Yeah, or changed you as a
That is
person.
the Holy Quran.
Oh, beautiful, of course.
Wonderful.
You see, I recite Alhamdulillah every morning,
Okay.
Holy Quran, with translation. And this is very interesting, that we got a lot of time during this COVID, nothing else to do.
Yes, luckily.
Okay, so I read with translation, and every time, my habit, I mean, say, in a year, Alhamdulillah, I just finished, I mean, say, reciting the Quran, just 2 weeks before, and then again, 3 paras I've read again
Oh,
Mashallah.
nice.
with translation. Okay,
Okay.
and every time I read, like, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking to me.
Wow.
I see.
That's just beautiful.
That is the book that will remain with us. Okay, till the
And that
time
is our belief as well, of course.
Yeah, and it's going to remain in our hearts as
Sure,
well.
Yeah.
that is in our heart.
But very quickly now, on a very lighter note, there's these few things which I wanted to ask. I'm sorry that I'll have to do this. Abid, I will start with you. For somebody who's a parent and his or her job is to be around books, how do their kids feel about it?
They actually you are talking about librarian.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. Being a librarian, it's my habit that I have also a small library at my home.
Oh, that's
Alright.
So
nice.
so I'm teaching my kids that how to read.
Don't they come up and say, Papa,
No,
I
no,
mean,
they
you do it
sometimes
every day, give
sometimes
us
they
some
are,
break.
they are watching movies or cartoon. Okay,
That's fine
but
too.
but I'm referring them to books.
Yeah.
And I'm also advising them that please read and you will become a very good person in your life ahead.
And do they agree to this?
Yes, of course, to
Wow.
some extent.
Okay.
That's depend on your environment.
Yeah, but that's
An
true too.
engineer can provide a good environment for their kids to become an engineer in future. Similar, the same situation, the doctor can also do the same stethoscope as well as thermometer.
Yeah.
So they also become a doctor in future. So I don't want to make my children to be a librarian, but
Yeah.
to be a good reader.
But why
Oh,
not a
that's-
librarian too? I
that's
think that
brilliant,
this
actually.
is it's a highly respected job too as well. But at the same time, the sole reason why I asked you this question was that I told in the beginning
Yeah.
that my father was a very amazing kind of a reader, and he would exchange books, and he had friends who would send him books as well. We got bored. Every now and then he'll make us sit down. "Oh, putter, idhar aao, kitab padhte hain." Come on, Abu. It's our time to play. It's our time to be out on the streets. We cannot be reading books with you all day long. How do you cope up with this?
Actually, I mean, this is very important that children, basically as a parent, what we do, our children, they just imitate us.
Yeah.
They don't do anything else. They imitate the adults.
True.
Yeah.
So, like Mr. Abid, he's a librarian, okay, always in the books.
Yeah.
Similarly, I'm in the books too. I love to read.
Yeah.
I'm a very good reader also.
Mashallah. We should have a face-off someday.
Yeah, my children, they just imitated me,
Okay.
and they are good readers too.
Nice.
Because actually, I'll share something very interesting. Because they say that what we do normally, mothers, they are busy at home. They put on the TV and they tell the children, to watch the cartoons, because we are inculcating that habit
Yeah.
of watching TV in them.
Yeah.
And the latest research says that a child watches 5,000 hours of TV
Okay.
when he is of age 5,
Oh.
which is more time to obtain the bachelor's degree.
Exactly.
Imagine that. That's
Now,
insane.
if we inculcate the habit of reading books in children, if you are reading a book, for example, I mean, say you have a child and you are reading a book, your husband is reading a book, and you tell them, don't disturb me.
Yeah.
The child is going to pull up a book if you have a bookshelf, and he's just going to flip over the pages.
Exactly.
Right.
So the
That's
habit
true.
can be, say, inculcated like that.
Yeah.
Okay. If we are reading, our children will read.
That's
Exactly.
true.
Okay. And reading is basically feeding to brain. If we don't read, our brains, won't grow.
Exactly.
There are billions of brain cells that die because we don't read.
Exactly.
Okay.
Thank you very much, gentlemen,
I feel
for being
ashamed.
with us on this very important day. And ladies and gentlemen, this was our way of getting the answer out, as in how to inculcate the habit of reading. So obviously, it's a trickle-down effect. It's a domino effect. You're going to do it. Your kids will see, and they are going to do it too as well. So yeah, if you want your kids to be on the top of their game and them to be leaders, please make sure that they're readers too as well, because a room without book is a body without soul. We are going for a
yes.
short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Good morning.
trail of
Welcome back to World This Morning, ladies and gentlemen, on the 23rd of April, where today we celebrated International Book Day and we learnt a lot and we also got gifts. So really hope you guys, sort of share your books and knowledge as well today, specifically. In this segment, we are talking about something that is so essential to us being a Pakistani nation. We are one of the biggest philanthropists in the world, and generally speaking, around the globe, billions of people daily volunteer for something, to bring the good change into the society as well.
Exactly.
And lately, especially when the COVID-19 thing is going on, a lot of people are coming out of their homes to volunteer and help people in need. But there needs to be a certain mechanism or certain organization that trains those volunteers as well, because there are certain SOPs too, right?
Exactly. Thank you very much, Hiza, for mentioning that as well. And ladies and gentlemen, since we are only left with like 10 to 15 minutes, so we want the conversation to be crisp and full of knowledge. So we very quickly, we're going to introduce our guest as well. We're very lucky that we've actually been joined by the country director, VSO, which is Voluntary Service Overseas as well. Ladies and gentlemen, he's none other than Mr. Hashim Bilal. Hello, assalamu alaikum. Good morning. Welcome back.
Walaikum assalam. How are you? Good
Absolutely
morning.
perfect. Thank you very much for joining us. Initially, let us know a little about VSO in the first place, and then we'll throw our questions towards you.
Thank you very much. VSO is by the name Voluntary Service Overseas. It's a British organization.
Okay.
So we work with the volunteers. We basically want to make like a change in the community using the volunteering for development approach. This is one of the approach we have adopted just to make sure like there is a sustainability in the community, and people they own. So until there is no ownership, we don't see a change, a positive change in the community.
Right. So when you say you work with the volunteers, does that mean you sort of recruit, I don't want to use the word recruit, but that's coming to mind, recruit them and then train them and then sort of assign them beats that this is where you go, this is what you do?
I think that's a very important question, and you rightly said it's a recruitment.
Yeah.
Because what we believe in the volunteerism, that it has to be like there should be a recognition.
Of course.
So like we don't want to use like a volunteer just to come and help us to print out the things or like that.
Okay.
So we normally, what VSO believes, like we have to have like a very thorough process, like as a job getting kind of thing. So people, they do check their our websites. They look over the JDs we normally develop. So it's like all about like a skill kind of thing. So people, they normally adopt, they come through that process, like, I'm getting the job sort of thing. So it's like not like a label, like, you are free of cost.
Yeah.
So there is a full recognition kind of thing.
And very quickly, what I wanted to ask was that, what is the general perception of volunteering, and how do you think that it is very well received over here in Pakistan and globally as well?
I think if you talk about the global perspective, yes, it's very well received. So if you see like a very developed nations, particularly like in Europe or US or UK, they have chosen that, people, they have to volunteer, they have to spend that time actually in the community and work for that and get that skill set. But I think in Pakistan, we are still in that dilemma, like, should we or should we not, is this a job, is not a job, because there are so many economical reasons, there are so many social reasons. So this is what we are trying to make sure, like, it's a skill development for you. If you want to have like a sustainable skills or like to make a change in the community, you have to volunteer. So.
And it's great. Thank you very much that you've mentioned about skill development. And ladies and gentlemen, it is, and I still remember back in 2005 when the earthquake hit Islamabad and elsewhere in surrounding areas, our teachers actually told us that if you are going to volunteer, we are actually going to get some good grades as well. So I think that was a good way to let us know or teach us as well. But sir, talking about, developing this very skill set within people is a great idea. But are we very inclusive in this? Are we making sure that people who are living with disabilities are a part of this, learning this skill set as well, or is it just for people who can actually walk, talk, see and do everything normally?
Right.
I think we go with the slogan like leave no one behind.
Yeah.
So there is a special like inclusive approach. So we normally bring like all the segment of the people, like from the society, and particularly people with the disability, because if you see the percentage is getting high in Pakistan, so they have like they are contributing a lot.
Wow.
We have like a lot of networks actually who basically support like people with disability, because they do understand, like, we might not really get that flavor like how to deal with them, but if you involve them, you get them actually on board. So we have like a massive network in Pakistan. One of the network is like mental association, Pothar Mental Association.
Right.
So they are doing amazing job. So
thank you very much for saying that, which is why, ladies and gentlemen, just to do a little rain check, what we have done is that we've actually been joined over the telephone by Zulkarnain Saab, who actually looks after the Pothar Mental Association as well. Zulkarnain Saab, assalamu alaikum. Good morning. How are you?
Walaikum salam. I'm fine. How are you, Shahzad?
Really perfect. Thank you very much for joining us, and I hope that you've been listening to our conversation. And I just wanted to ask, how does it feel to be that member of the society who's not left behind, even when we talk about volunteering for people who might be facing difficulties in these times of pandemics?
Because it depends on the individual, basically how one feel or how one think. Because if people think we are not contributing, we are a useless part of the society, then they feel left behind. But if one feel we can contribute, we have potential, we can do a lot while maintaining social distance. So when physical distance, social distance, one can do a lot. That's the reason, because it's very important to be a productive and uh, productive citizen of the country, a productive citizen of the world.
And it is very important, and I truly agree to what you're actually trying to convey over here. But don't you think it gets a little difficult for people who are actually living with disabilities to volunteer and to help other people? I know, मैं जज्बे की कदर करता हूँ, लेकिन but then at the same time, while I respect this passion, doesn't it get a little difficult for people to handle?
Yeah, it is in this because it's really difficult in our society, across the world. It's a little bit difficult, but if we talk about in our society, it's really difficult because in our country things are not that much accessible. One cannot move independently, and that's the reason usually people feel like they cannot contribute it, because they have to maintain the it's for them, especially disability is very diverse, and in its degree it's also a diverse area. And if people living with hearing impairment, they have different challenges. And if you talk about people living with physical difficulties, disabilities, they have different challenges. And people living with visual impairment, they have different set of challenges. That's why it's really difficult. And even people living with disabilities are not included in when facilities are being deliver. That's the thing. That's the main issue. And because due to inaccessible infrastructure, it's a little bit difficult for the people living with disabilities.
Raising this point that the infrastructure is inaccessible, I think that for people who are actually responsible for the development of infrastructure really need to keep that in mind.
Yeah, thank you so much for saying all of those things as well, Zulkarnain. We do realize that actually challenges do withstand, but you're, overcoming all those challenges and becoming a very productive part of the society. Thank you so much for joining us online as well. And he happens to be the first visually impaired psychologist in South Asia as well. That's brilliant. But now coming back to you, Mr. Hashim, now you've been dealing with volunteerism for a long time, and especially I want you to answer this in, relevance with COVID-19, the whole situation as well. We have a Tiger Force now, they're volunteers too. Generally, privately people are coming out as well to volunteer. Is there a certain, let's say, pattern or mechanism that people need to follow so that volunteerism doesn't turn into chaos?
Yeah, I think that's a very relevant question. For us, like what we believe, yes, we do need like a lot of like a big force, and Tiger Force is one of the good force now. But I think like the safeguarding element is one of the key element, particularly when dealing with the COVID-19 cases, because it's a unique kind of like a virus, and it can affect anyone actually, even like people those are very trained. They have to be really safeguarded actually. So what we are trying to advise to the volunteers, even to the normal like physician or like paramedic staff, like they have to be trained actually. Like their safety is very important.
Of course.
So until like we don't train them, we don't equip them actually, because there are like kits actually available. Of course, like there is a shortage going on, but I think like that is the main important element. The Tiger Force, like the numbers are increasing. People, they have a passion to be part of that force. But I think like there should be a mechanism to really protect them, to safeguard them, their safety. And
thank you very much for raising awareness upon this topic as well. But very quickly, towards the end, one last question. And since we're talking about volunteering over here, since we're talking about training all the volunteers and how to make sure that they are safe whenever they're out there, whoever they're helping. So this VSO, which is this organization you're working for, do they train these volunteers for free, or do you really get funding from other organizations to do so, and then obviously VSO processes through, or probably making sure that they're going to train the volunteers?
Well, there is like a bilateral funding mechanism exists. So because it's not like a
Because I thought VSO might be volunteering in that.
oh, we do actually,
Oh,
because
okay.
like of course like our workforce is volunteering for that, but do you definitely need a lot of resources for
Yes,
that.
a
Because
lot
there
of
is
funds as well
a
to
lot of
carry out
funds
stuff.
actually, and even like despite all the challenges, you know, like you need to have like all the funding available. You have to have the resources, because as I said in the beginning, like we are not getting the volunteers, or we don't need a volunteer just
Yeah.
for sake of volunteering. We need a volunteer to be skillful, and you know their capacities to be built for the society and for their own development. Because for example, I give you the example, like there has been like a lot of like a good volunteering work has been done, like even people living with a disability.
Exactly.
They have done their PhDs actually. So
Yes.
you need to have like that flow of financial, like, you know, sustainability for them to really, the privatization has really like, you know, has a big question. Of course, I'm not going into that detail, but you see, like, you know, if you have to have like a better education, or even despite like the training for the volunteer, even the normal education for the people with disability, or even like any segment in the society, you need to have like a financial resources. So VSO
course.
does get all these resources. We really make like, that's a voluntarily, you know, we really put all the efforts
It's good.
to make sure like we get all these resources
That's
and,
nice.
and put those resources for the development of Pakistan. Particularly if you see Rescue 1122, we have
Oh.
been partnering with them for
Yes.
Great.
almost like 3 years.
They were
We
here like
trained
2-3 years ago.
Exactly, I've seen that show. So
Yeah, exactly.
these are the things, you know, we want to make the effort for the institutes and for the bigger networks rather than the individual, but of course
And
that's
it's
tough.
beautiful.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much, Mr. Hashim Bilal, for being with us. It was wonderful to be in conversation with you, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Hashim Bilal, Country Director, Voluntary Service Overseas. And I'm glad that we finally have a service which is actually providing training to all of those people who wish to volunteer.
Yeah, that's brilliant as well, because this is one thing that we were lacking in terms of volunteerism. Otherwise, the jazba we do have. So here's the thing now, towards the end of the show, I'm going to take you back to what we said in the beginning. Shahzad actually gave out a message and it was brilliant. You know, I'm pretty sure because of the lockdown and because of, you know, isolation as well, a lot of people, the quarantine itself is testing patience. You know, of course, living with people 24/7 may be hard for us because we're usually not used to it as well. So next time, if something bothers you, rather than just lashing out, be patient. If you cannot do that, try to, you know, before lashing out, try to take 3 deep breaths. And I promise you, once you're done with the 3rd breath, you will not be willing to lash out anymore. You'll be done with that as well. So ladies and gentlemen, do write to us to let us know your feedback about our show as well on our Facebook page with the name of,
Well, this morning on your television screens.
on Twitter,
Well, this morning with RTG.
on YouTube,
YouTube is PTV World, and then you can look for the most viewed show, which is World This Morning.
and the repeat you can catch at
5 past 11 p.m. tonight. Till the next time, 1, 2, 3.
Good morning.
Thank you very much.